I'm back!
Hey, it's your old friendly neighborhood cool guy, TorchSheep again. Where have I been the past 2 months with barely uploading anything at all?
You look lovely in the candlelight, my darling. I wonder how my YouTube account's doing.
But me and my attraction to fictional cyber-enhanced humans isn't why we're here today, now is it? Is it? Of course not, you sod. It's time to talk about Netflix's adult animated sitcom, F is for Family. Again. Season 2 edition, yee! F is for Family's first season, I felt, while nowhere near the best adult cartoon I've ever seen, I still came across a bunch of aspects I loved in it. For me personally, it felt so relatable, despite not growing up in the 1970s. I'm a late 90s, early 2000s kid after all. The characters felt like real people in a sense of being very three-dimensional. Mostly. And I just found it to be one of the most raw and realistic takes on family life I've seen in an adult cartoon, without sacrificing being entertaining, which I liked a lot. I was excited for Season 2 for a long while. I even tweeted about it, and the F is for Family official writers page replied to my tweet. What a special boy I am! Oh. They replied to almost every tweet about the show. Well, screw you too then, you filthy hoes! Before we dive into Season 2, we
gotta get back to the past.
And see where Season 1 left off.
Everyone do it with me. Diddle, 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 diddle. I said everyone go diddle.
Last time on F is for Family, Frank Murphy tried to save his airline from its striking employees or something. It's been a while and I can't remember entirely, leave me alone. Even after saving everything on Christmas, Frank was fired anyway because the head of the airline company was just a massive prick. Well,
it was a mistake to promote you anyway. You weren't fit for management.
Now with no job, Frank is starting to feel the depression that unemployment brings slowly creep up on him.
You can do this, Frank. No, you can't.
How will Frank be able to provide for his family now? Will Frank be able to rise to the occasion and get a new job, or is this the end for the Murphy family? Find out today on F is for Family Z. So the first episode of the second season begins with a flashback to the 50s, where Frank's life is going pretty well. People respect him and he's on the track to becoming a pilot, his dream job, and he's about to take Sue on a date. It then cuts back to 3 weeks after where Season 1 left off, with an unemployed Frank whom nobody respects, has no job, and is trying to support the also struggling Sue sell plasterware, which I've seen in every episode of this show, and I still don't really know what it is. It's like food containers, I think, but they also make other stuff? I don't really know. Anyways, that's not what's important. What is important is the first flashback scene. It's not just a one-off moment. These cutbacks to the 50s are something we'll be seeing again at key moments of this season, which I found really cool. A big worry some might have going into this season is thinking that these flashbacks to show how Frank and Sue's lives have changed so much might be a little bit too, wow, look how great our lives were back then, in a very repetitive way. And while it can seem like that occasionally, most of the time they still seem pretty realistic for me. They weren't all peaches and cream 100% of the time. Bad stuff happened back then too, and it seems like the same characters acting like how they probably would have acted back then. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't seem far-fetched, which I appreciate. Cut to the theme song, which is mostly unchanged, apart from a few new items flying around in the sky, like a tub of that old mystery plasterware in a board game and such. Still an awesome tune.
Mohican Airways are flaming.
So yes, Frank has gone into full-on depression mode after being fired from the airline, leaving Sue to provide for the family and the bills with her plasterware job that pays nowhere near as much as Frank's old job did. Things are starting to get tough for the Murphys.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to figure out which bill we can pay.
Well, we got about 8 inches of free water falling right now, so heat it is.
Sue is still trying to make everyone happy though, and get Frank to cheer up. This is the first we see of the main theme, or arc I guess, of the season, the relationship between Frank and Sue. A lot goes on here through the 10 episodes of Season 2 that affects the dynamic between Frank and Sue's marriage. This all starts off from money issues and Frank's depression, but ultimately delves into a lot of deeper issues that the couple have had with each other for a long while. As I said, a lot of different scenarios bring out these repressed feelings, and because of their constantly changing job situations, I'll try not to spoil too much here, it's always interesting. For instance, a little bit into the second season, Frank gets a new job, starts to get cocky, and forget about Sue helping him through his depression. Speaking of Frank's depression, here's a montage of all the depressing stuff Frank said in the first episode.
It's only 7:30.
Midnight in my mind.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
not going to school? No, I was gonna drink and fall asleep in the bathtub.
What you say?
I'm gonna curl up in an Afghan, slowly cry myself into a nap.
Season 2 is a lot more continuity based than Season 1. It feels like one big episode in 10 parts as opposed to 10 individual episodes with a bit of connection here and there. Everyone in the family, except Maureen, again, has their own seasonal story arc too. Kevin's plot focuses on his band and getting laid, which actually, believe it or not, was one of the more engaging plots. Bill's plot deals with more growing up and disagreements with his best friend, who I used to find annoying as heck throughout Season 1. He's just this overprotected dork, but given more of an insight, I kinda like him now. The show even goes out of its way to explore a bunch of characters more outside of the family. Frank's old boss Bob Pogo, Sue's boss, Bill's dorky friend, Vic and Cutie Pie to name a few. We also got an entirely new character named Smokey.
Sack to sack, say it.
Sack to sack. Coin to loin.
Don't improvise, this ain't jazz, mother.
The show is still pretty vulgar as you'd expect if you watched any of the first season or any of the awful trailers, which freaking just suck. And now everyone's gonna call me a hypocrite because I like the show that has vulgarity in it. Even though I just went through how I like the show's relatability, I think the characters are well written, I love the continuing drama arcs, and the constant shift of interesting stuff happening, and never find that them just saying the F word is the selling point of the show. Oh, but no, Mr. Pickles is the exact same thing. That being said, there were a few things I didn't quite like about this season, though pretty much all of my complaints could be said about F is for Family in general. Same as before, the show visually does nothing that caught my eye in a good way. I was kinda hoping they'd have at least 1 or 2 moments of visual flair. I mean, the snow falling looks nice at the beginning, but it's just snow falling. They did do another drug trip sequence, which didn't really grab my eye this time. The only thing I did notice was how ugly some of the characters look when they're looking right at you. Does this look off to anyone else? At least it's not Phineas and Ferb levels. And I still found it pretty strange that with the longer season that they still did next to nothing with the daughter of the family, Maureen.
Oh, relax, you f***ing Mary.
Dude, you wanna know what really caught me off guard? Okay, so the last episode, Frank was held hostage at an airport by these terrorists that have a bomb in a briefcase. Long story short, the terrorists are beaten up by the nephew of the guy that owns the airline, Robert Dunbarton. After all the bad guys are taken care of, Dunbarton is shouting at Frank about how he's gonna destroy Frank's life in the future. And then his nephew, while jumping around celebrating about how he beat up the terrorists, accidentally stands on the briefcase with the bomb in it, and it explodes right on him and is freaking brutal. Blood and guts fly everywhere, all over everybody, and the top half of his body falls to the ground. And then some of the debris of that explosion lands right in Dunbarton's throat, causing him to spray blood everywhere and die. What the fuck am I watching? Gee whiz, that's one way to end off the season. This of course leaves us with the cliffhanger of, is Frank gonna be able to work at the airline again? Oh yeah, and there's that other cliffhanger that says they might be having another kid. Needless to say, this opens up a bunch of possibilities for a potential season 3. F is for Family Season 2 was pretty decent. It definitely felt like it was building on what worked for Season 1 by giving it a lot more drama and continuity. The whole show is on Netflix, and it's only 16 episodes long now, so if it sounds like something you might like, give it a go. I've certainly been enjoying it myself, and I hope they announce a 3rd season sometime soon. If adult family dramas aren't your thing, then this show probably isn't going to change your mind on anything. And if you've watched the 1st season and haven't watched the 2nd one yet, do yourself a favor and watch this one, because it improves a lot of areas. This has been TorchSheep. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video, got 2 more on the screen for you now that you might enjoy. Follow me on Twitter and join my Discord if you want to chat about waifus or tell me how bad my opinions are. And most of all, thanks a bunch for watching.